Kahal Kadosh, Boker Tov. Masechet Yevamot. We are starting the new Masechet. We're starting the new Masechet. Yeah, we're starting a new Masechet, and we are all quiet. Okay? Now, it says over here like this. We are going to be starting, which is something very, very interesting, right? And in this Masechet, we are going to be dealing with, right, something which has to do with Yevamot. Yesterday, we gave the introduction to Yevamot, and today we're going to just share the screen with everybody, just so that way we understand what are we talking about, okay? So therefore, we're going to start, okay? And what we're going to do is as follows. Okay? The Mishnah, 15 nashim potrot tzarotehem, vetzarot tzarotehem mina chalitza umina yivum ad sof haolam. Right? Says the beginning of the Mishnah, there's going to be 15 women that they are going to exempt their tzarot and their tzarot, which we'll explain in a minute what that means, from chalitza and yibum until the end of generations. Remember that the concept of yibum is that if a man dies without children, so then what happens is that his wife falls, nofelet, she falls to yibum. This is also called in other terms zika. Zika means that there's a connection, right? What's the connection? There's a connection between the yavam, right? That's the one that's the brother that he has to do the yibum, right? And the yevamah. It's called a zika. There is some connection in between them. Remember that the second that the yavam has relations with the yevamah, she becomes his wife completely. Now, we did mention yesterday that the brothers always have first grab, and after the brothers have first grab, right, then it will come whether it's going to be father or other relatives as well. Okay, that's going to be to do with the halachot of what we just mentioned until now.
Is there an
okay
order in the brothers?
The oldest, no?
Yes. Okay. Now what happens is as follows. Okay. In the Mishnah says there's going to be 15 women. The first woman is going to be the daughter. So now like this. What do we just say in the Mishnah? There's 15 women that they are going to exempt, right, their tzarot and their tzarot. What is a tzara? So a tzara is actually another wife. Why is it another wife? Because what happens is that usually when you have co-wives, so what happens is that all of a sudden they become tzarot. They become tzarot to each other. It becomes a problem. Why? One woman becomes jealous of the other woman. We're obviously talking about this husband had 2 wives and then he died. So now we're going to start. The first case was what we said over here. Bito. What does it mean? The daughter. Okay, so if you look on the screen behind me, you have it very, very big so you could see it. Number 1, Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Achim. These lines mean that they're brothers. Okay, so Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Number 2, Bet. Reuven bat ushma Rachel. So Reuven has a daughter. Her name is Rachel. Number 3, Shimon, right? Remember, Shimon is the uncle. Shimon gets married to Rachel, his niece. This orange line, you see the orange line? This orange line is wedding. Niswin, it looks like a ring. I don't know if you could see it. Yeah? Yes, and it's a mitzvah to get married to the Achian. Remember that. Oh, sorry. This is Shimon. You see Shimon. Shimon is right here. Okay, in this picture. We're in this picture. I don't know if this makes you see it better or worse. Shimon, right, gets married to his niece, Rachel, and he gets married to Miriam, to another woman. Okay, to another woman. So it's 2 women. Okay, next, okay, here we have, now what happens? Listen to this. In this picture, it says over here, whenever somebody dies, it's written on the side over here where my cursor is. Everyone sees the cursor? What? Yes. Yeah. So what happens now is that he dies. Yeah? Are you listening?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shimon dies. When Shimon dies, what happens is that now you have 2 women, which they're all in the reddish orange, you got like a dot, right? You have Miriam and Rachel that have to fall in front of Reuven. Now, can Reuven get married to his daughter? He can't get married to his daughter. So therefore, Miriam is Turah from Yibum and Chalitza at Sof Kol Adorot. Why? Because you have the technical issue that Rachel cannot get married to her father. So since Rachel cannot get married to her father, she's poteret, right? The other co-wife, that was the co-wife. It was Miriam was her co-wife. She was the same wife, right? Or the same wife, the same meaning to the same. They're same from the same husband, right? One second. So says the Mishnah again one more time. The first case was, Bito, the daughter. So that's what it was over here. This case. Remember, Shimon and Achim are brothers. Reuven has a daughter, Rachel. Shimon gets married to his niece, Rachel and Miriam, and then Shimon dies. Once Shimon dies, so therefore the two women, Rachel and Miriam, go in front of Reuven. Reuven cannot get married to his daughter, Rachel, so automatically she's poteret, right? The Miriam. Okay, case number 2. Poteret, exempts. Okay, next. Vegam Tzarata. So here, not only is she exempting her tzara, because remember, who's the tzara of the daughter? The daughter was Rachel. Who's the tzara of the daughter? Miriam. Now, who's the tzarata? Now we add another brother to the case, right? So the brother to the case is Reuven, Shimon, Velevi Achim. You have it on the top, right? Reuven, Shimon, Velevi. 3 brothers. Okay? Bet. Look. Bet. Reuven, right? Reuven has a daughter, and again, her name is Rachel. This is this picture here. Okay? Reuven has a daughter, Rachel. We're keeping it simple, right? The exact same as last time. Next, Shimon gets married to Rachel and Miriam. Until here, it's exact same. Until here, the same people, same marriages, nothing changed. Reuven gets married, Shimon gets married to his niece Rachel and to Miriam. That's over here. Okay, these two. Okay. Now, what happens is Levi, the other brother, he gets married to Esther. Okay, so here we added another brother and a new marriage. Okay, Levi gets married to Esther. Okay, very good. Next, Shimon dies. Now Levi does Yibum to Miriam. So now what happens is like this: Shimon dies. When Shimon dies, he has 2 wives. Who are the 2 wives? Rachel and Miriam. Can Levi get married to Rachel?
No.
It's his niece. Yeah. So yes. Yeah. Can Levi get married to Miriam? Yes. Now Reuven cannot, because Reuven cannot get married to his daughter. But Levi, the other brother, he can get married to both wives, also to Rachel, also to Miriam. He chose not to get into the same wahala. He didn't want to get into the same children, so he didn't want to get married to his niece. Who did he get married to? He got married to Miriam.
So he can do it only with one issue.
Not only that, not only if he wants. The halacha states in the introduction, and we read this yesterday, Look in the introduction, hey. Adam shaya nasui kama nashim, a person that's married to a few wives, umet belizera, and he dies without children, en miyabnim ben choltzim el alachat mem. They only do yibum or chalitza to one of them. One of them. Uchmochen, not only that, if he had a few brothers, en miyabem ucholetz el alachat mem. It's only one brother that does everything. Leachar shechad ayavamim yibem et ha'achat yevamot. Once one yavam takes one yevama, everybody else becomes permitted to the shuk. However, though, they are prohibited to all the brothers. Because remember, once there was no yibum done, now they become prohibited to all the brothers. And so too, one of the Yevamot, if she does chalitza, everybody becomes permitted to the shuk, and everybody becomes prohibited. So therefore, it's 1 to 1. So now one more time. Levi got married to Esther. Shimon got married to his niece, Rachel, and to Miriam. Shimon dies. Levi, now he does yibum to who? To Miriam.
He could have done to Rachel.
He could have done to Rachel. He chose Miriam. Now what happens? Levi dies. Yeah, Levi dies. Look on top. He becomes gray. Levi dies. So now that Levi dies, what happens? Miriam and Esther fall in front of Reuven. Now Miriam was Sarat Bito. She was, no, Rachel was the bat shel Reuven. Miriam was the tzara of Rachel. Miriam was the tzara, means the co-wife, right? Remember, the tzara, she does tzarot to her friend. Because usually when you have 2 wives, they're always going to be killing each other in order to be with the husband, right? So therefore, he comes and he says, so therefore Miriam is Sarah bito, nifteret min hayibum upoteret gam Esther sarat sarata. Why? Because now she's going to be poteret also Esther. Because now if you think about it, Reuven had nothing to do with Esther. Miriam, right? Also technically he really didn't have anything to do with it. She was just the co-wife of his daughter. But Esther, Bichlal, was a sister-in-law. Nothing to do with anything. But the fact that Miriam was the co-wife of the daughter, that's Tzarata. So it's going to be poter not only Tzarata, but Tzarat Tzarata, which is Esther. She's going to be exempt as well. Okay? The next case in the Gemara in the Mishnah was Bat Bito Ubat Beno. Okay? Which is basically going to, so the first one was Bito, and now we're going to Bat Bito, Bat Beno. So really, technically, this is case number 2 and case number 3, if you have it in the, if you have like the numbers over there. Bat Bito and Bat Beno, here it's number 3, all in one case, okay? So that, listen carefully, listen carefully, right? Reuven and Shimon are brothers, okay? Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Yeah, it's big enough, yeah? Yeah. Okay, Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Now, I could make it bigger, but it's gonna be... Okay, Reuven and Shimon are brothers, Achim. Now what happens is that, again, Reuven has a son or a daughter. It doesn't matter which one. And then they had a daughter. Okay, this daughter, they called her Leah. Okay, I don't know why he's changing the name, but they called her Leah. Okay, but before it was Rachel. Actually, here it's still kept Rachel. So you already see there's a mistake. Okay, but it doesn't matter. Okay, there's a mistake here. Because here on the top it says B'Shem Rachel, and in the middle of her shirt over there, you see that it's Leah. Okay? So now what happens is like this. Shimon dies. Okay, Shimon dies. Now Miriam and Leah, they fall to Ibum to Reuven. Well, 1 second. No, it's too big. 1 minute. Yeah? Shimon. Sorry, I skipped one. Sorry, I skipped one. I skipped one. I sorry. That's why it was too big. It was too big. It was too big. Right? Shimon itchaten im. I need silence.
No, we need to put you in a room by yourself, and we're here, so we can.
Yeah, then you guys won't mind. Shimon itchaten im Miriam v'im Rachel. At least I'm a little bit of a shoter. Shimon gets married to Miriam and Rachel. Again, I don't know why before it had in her shirt Leah. It's a mistake, or I don't know what happened there. But again, so Reuven comes and he has a granddaughter. Okay, before it was his daughter Rachel. Now it's his granddaughter Rachel. Shimon got married again to his. Now it's a great niece, right? And to Miriam. Again, he got married to Miriam, but he got married now to his great niece, not his niece, great niece. Of course, it's still the same. Yeah, if he could get married to his niece, he's allowed to get married to, exactly. Okay, so great niece. Okay, now what happens is that when Shimon dies, so now what do you have? You have Miriam and Rachel falling in front of who? In front of Reuven. You can't do that. You can't, exactly. He can't do it. So therefore, just like he's not going to, he can't get married to his granddaughter. So since he can't get married to his granddaughter Rachel, he also, very good. No, Ben and Bad, nothing happens. Doesn't matter. Which one? Nah. The Ben can't marry his own daughter.
Everyone understood. Next case.
What? Miriam? No, because she's Batura because of Rachel. Next case. Okay? Next case is... Now we have the next case, which was Sarat Sarata. So we're still in the case of, right? We're still in the case of Bat Bito or Bat Beno, which is case number 2 and 3 in the Mishnah. But we have to remember, every single time we have to explain, when is it going to be poter Otam, which is a Tzara Shelahem. Miriam was a Tzara of Rachel, and Sarat Sarata. So now here becomes, again, we're adding a third brother. So here one more time. We had the first picture, which was in the last case. Reuven and Shimon and Levi are brothers. Okay, and Reuven has a granddaughter that her name is Rachel, just like last time. Shimon gets married to Miriam and Hannah. I don't know why.
he calls them the way he wants.
אדם יכול להתחתן
Fine.
עם הנינה
Okay.
שלו?
No.
Shimon dies.
Yeah, so Shimon gets married to Miriam and again Rachel. Let's just keep it Rachel, because even in the picture here it says Rachel. So Miriam and Rachel, okay, and Levi gets married. Levi gets married to Esther.
Shimon dies.
Okay, next Shimon dies. Now Levi does Ibum to Miriam. Until here, it was the exact case as last time, except for we added Levi and Levi getting married to Esther. The exact same. We didn't change anything. So again, one more time. Reuven has a granddaughter, Rachel. Shimon gets married to Rachel and to Miriam, right? And Levi gets married to Esther. Shimon dies, and Levi does Ibum to Miriam, and he's still married to Esther. Now the next case, right? What is the next case?
Levi dies.
No, Miriam is another wife, right? Another wife. The Nechta was always Reuven, right?
Levi dies.
Okay, 1 second. We'll have to read. So it says now, Reuven, now what happens is Levi dies. Now that Levi dies, right, everybody goes in front of Reuven for Yibum. Now, since Rachel, right, is the daughter, the granddaughter, or the granddaughter from the son, doesn't matter whether it's from the daughter or the son, she's going to be poteret Miriam Sarata, and she's going to be poteret Esther Sarat Sarata. Capish? So now we're going to the next case of the Mishnah. This was now Tzarat Tzarata. Now we're going to the next case of the Mishnah. The next case of the Mishnah was Bat Ishto. Bat Ishto Bayas is number 4 out of 15. Okay? So number 4 out of 15 says over here, Reuven, right, and Shimon are brothers. Okay? Now Leah is another woman. She is, again, Bat Ishto. That means it's not his daughter. It's the daughter of his wife. Shimon gets married to Leah. Here you have the marriage. Remember, this, it looks like the rings. It's marriage. So Shimon gets married to Leah. Leah already had another daughter. Here he calls her Chana from a previous marriage. Okay, so again, Reuven and Shimon are married. Are brothers, sorry. Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Shimon is married to Leah. Leah already had a daughter. Her name is Chana. Now what happens is that Reuven gets married to Miriam and Chana. Okay, remember, Reuven gets married to Miriam, a foreigner, and Chana, which is basically his brother's stepdaughter. His brother's stepdaughter. He got married to his brother's stepdaughter. Now what happens is that Reuven dies, and now Miriam and Chana fall in front of Shimon. Now Shimon cannot get married to Chana. Why not? It's a stepdaughter. So therefore, just like Chana becomes Turah because she cannot get married to the stepfather, so to Miriam becomes Turah because she cannot get married. Right? Well, not because she cannot, but basically it's Sarata. That's she becomes exempt. Okay, so that's the case of Sarata. Now, what's the case of Tzarat Sarata? Okay, so again, we have to add a brother. So we're adding a brother. Here you have Reuven now is in the middle. Reuven, Levi, and Shimon. Shimon is over here now in this picture. Shimon gets married to Leah. And remember, Leah has a stepdaughter. Leah already had a daughter, right? But it's Shimon's stepdaughter, Chana. Case number 2 was the same thing. Reuven, right? Yes, right? So he says, Reuven gets married to Chana and to Miriam. Okay, and Levi gets married to Esther. Okay. Next, Reuven dies. Once Reuven dies, Miriam and Chana, they fall to Yibum to Levi.
It's because he's Pasul.
Yeah, he's Pasul. So but she could get married to Levi without any problem. Yes. So Reuven dies. So Chana and Miriam can get married to exactly. So Levi does Yibum to Miriam, not to Chana. Whatever the case is, whatever the case was. She had a nicer nose. Yeah. So what happens is that Levi comes and she got married to Miriam. Okay. He did Yibum to Miriam, sorry. And Levi was already previously married to Esther. Now what happens is now Levi dies. But remember, before it was Reuven that died. So now Levi dies. So now that Levi dies, so now what happens is Miriam and Esther, right? Miriam and Esther right? They fall in front of Shimon. Now Shimon cannot get married to Hannah because it's Bat Ishto. So therefore she's poteret Sarata, which is Miriam, and she's poteret Sarat Sarata, which is Esther. So now what happens is as follows. Again, we're sharing the screen. The next case is going to be Bat Bena or Bat Bita, which is going to be case number 5 or number 6. Again, we're doing the exact same thing, but of the wife. Because it's Bat Bena or Bat Bita, of the wife. So again, one more time. Aleph, Reuven and Shimon, Achim, right? Shimon gets married to Leah, and Leah already had from a previous marriage a boy or a girl, and they had a granddaughter, right? That means Leah has a grandchild, okay? Which her name is, I can't see over here. Nechda, it says. Okay. Now what happens is as follows. Reuven, which is the brother, he gets married to Bilha. I don't know why it's changing the name again. You could keep it Miriam or whatever you want. He gets married to, let's just keep it at Miriam. Miriam and to the Nechda, right? To the granddaughter of, meaning is basically his sister-in-law's granddaughter. Okay. Now what happens is that when Reuven dies, what happens? You've got the Miriam or the Bilha here, right? And the it's Naomi, that was the name. Naomi, which was a granddaughter, they both fall in front of Shimon. Now Shimon cannot get married not only to his wife's daughter, but he cannot get married to his wife's, remember, granddaughter. Yeah. So therefore, just like Naomi becomes Turah from the Yibum, she's poteret her Tzara, right, which is Bilha or Miriam, whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to go to the next case, which is Sarat Sarata. So again, now it's going to be 3 brothers. Okay, so 3 brothers. Again, you have Reuven, now it becomes in the middle. Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Okay, Shimon gets married again to Leah. Leah has a grandchild that we called her Naomi. Okay, then what happens is Levi gets married. Reuven gets married to Naomi and Bilha, and Levi gets married to Shifra. Okay, so again, Levi gets married to Shifra. Reuven got married to the just like the last case, but now you just added the Levi and Shifra in the equation. Okay, that was the 3rd one. So now what happens is Reuven dies, so Levi does Ibum to Bilha, or here to the Midian, if you remember, we kept on calling it, right? To this woman, not to the granddaughter of the wife, but rather to this one. So now what happens is that when now Levi dies, right? So now that Levi dies, Shifra and Bilha, these 2 women over here, they fall in front of Shimon. Now we already said Shimon cannot get married to Naomi because it's the wife's granddaughter. Okay. Now Bilha was the tzara of Naomi, and Shifra is the tzarata of Naomi. So that was that case. Okay. Next case in the Mishnah, Chamoto. This is case number 7 of 15. What is Chamoto? The mother-in-law.
9.
Right? No, this is case number 9 because we added in each one tzara, the tzara tzarata, because that's how it started. It said, but when we're going to mention the 15 women, this is case number 7. If you look in your thing, it's case number 7, Chamoto. Okay? So Chamoto is the mother-in-law, okay, of the Yavam. What's the case? Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Reuven got married to Leah, okay, and Leah, right, has a daughter, Hannah, from a previous marriage. I don't know again why they're switching that now Reuven got married to Leah instead of Shimon, but that's just the case. So again, Reuven gets married to Leah, and Leah has a daughter of Hannah. Okay, that's case number 1. Now what happens is Reuven, right, got married also to Rachel, right? Reuven itchaten gam im Rachel, right? So now what happens is, and Shimon gets married to Hannah, right? So one more time, Reuven gets married to Leah, okay? Reuven and Leah, that's over here. Reuven to Leah. Reuven gets married to Leah. Reuven also gets married to Rachel. So he's got 2 wives. Leah already had a daughter called Hannah. Shimon gets married to who? To Hannah. So Reuven gets married to, again, the sister-in-law's daughter. Okay, so now what happens is that when Shimon now dies, Reuven now dies, right? So Reuven now dies. What happens? Rachel and Leah fall in front of Shimon. Now, who's Leah? His mother-in-law, because he got married to Hannah. One more time.
Leah is the mother.
Leah is the mother-in-law. One more time, and the sister-in-law, and the sister-in-law.
She already had children, so of course she's not available for Yibum. She already had
today in
children.
Alabama.
No, we're
It's not
talking about
illegal.
Hannah. We're
No, but
talking about
it's
Hannah.
So now we have the next case. Sarat Sarata. Again, remember now that we're adding another brother. So Reuven, Shimon, and Levi are Achim, right? To Leah, she already has a daughter from a previous marriage called Hannah. Okay, so now Shimon gets married to Hannah, right? Which is his sister-in-law's daughter. Reuven gets married to Rachel and Leah. So this is Reuven to Rachel and Leah. Okay. Then Levi gets married to Sarah. Again, don't ask me why they change the names each time. For me, I would have just kept the names the entire time the same. But right, that's what they're doing. Okay. Next, it says here like this: Reuven dies. Reuven dies, and Levi does Yibum to Rachel. So here, Reuven in the middle, he dies. Right in this case. So since Reuven dies, so Levi now does Yibum to Rachel, not to Leah, rather to Rachel. Okay. This is Rachel, and this is Sarah, and not to Leah. Right? Not to Leah. What?
Can Shimon do Yibum with Rachel?
Shimon could do Libum to Rachel. Yes, why not?
And just the fact that he's married already.
Yeah. But Levi did
Leah
it.
is an independent woman.
No, Leah got married to
He can
Reuven.
only do Yibum to Rachel.
Who?
In this case.
Who? One more time?
Yeah.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, please. 1 second. Says now the case, okay? Levi dies, right? Levi dies. Since Levi dies, Shimon, 1 second. Since Levi dies, Shimon cannot do Yibum to Leah because Leah is the mother-in-law. So therefore, she's going to be poteret Sarata Rachel and Sarat Sarata Sarah. Now we're on the next case of the Mishnah, which is Em Chamoto Ve'em Chamiv. No, it's the 11th case here. But by us, Em Chamoto Ve'em Chamiv is number 8 and number 9 out of 15. Okay? 8 and number 9 out of 15. Right? It was a nice try though. Right? Now we're going to start. Reuven Shimon Achim. What are you playing footsies underneath the table? Reuven Shimon Achim. Yeah? Yeah, Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Reuven gets married to Leah, and Leah now has a nechda. Okay, remember, now we added in, it was the exact same. Shimon and Reuven, but now Reuven gets married to Leah, but now they have a granddaughter, right? Here he says Sila. Right? Again, I don't know. Sila. Okay, fine.
Very bad name.
Fine. Yeah, Reuven gets married now to the granddaughter. Before, Shimon gets married to the granddaughter. Before, Shimon got married to the daughter of Leah. Now, Shimon is getting married to the granddaughter of Leah. Okay, it's a granddaughter. Now it says, and Reuven, right, gets married to Leah and to Miriam. Okay, now what happens is as follows. Reuven, right, Reuven dies, right? So now what happens? Leah and Miriam, right, they fall in front of Shimon. Now you have a problem. Shimon cannot do Yibum to Leah because she's the mother of the mother-in-law or the father-in-law. Right? She's the grandmother, but basically it's the mother of the Chamoto or Chamiv. So the mother of Chamoto or Chamiv, poteret Miriam Tzarata. Okay, makes sense. Now what's Sarat Sarata? We're gonna have to add another. There's another case, 12. A third brother, Chazak Baruch. You guys are on the ball, right? We have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Again, remember, Reuven gets married to Leah. Leah already has from a previous marriage a granddaughter, Tzila. Okay, now the second case. Shimon gets married to the granddaughter, to Tzila. Reuven already gets married to Leah and to Miriam. Levi, yes, he takes a second wife, right? Levi gets married now to Hannah. Okay, now what happens is the first brother dies. So who's this? Reuven dies. So Reuven dies. Now you have Leah and you have Midian. Now remember, to Levi could get married to whichever one that he wants, right? In this case over here. In this case, Levi, right? He could get married to either to Leah or to Midian. He chose Midian. Again, more beautiful, younger, whatever you want. He gets married to now Midian. Okay? Yeah, whichever one that you want. Yeah. Now what happens? What happens is that all of a sudden now Levi dies. Once Levi dies, what happens is, once Levi dies, now you have two women, right, that are at stake. So now 1 second, Midian and Chana, they go in front of Shimon. Now again, one more time. Leah was also supposed to go in front of Shimon before, but she couldn't because she's the mother of the mother-in-law or the father-in-law. That's Em Chamoto or Em Chamim. So because of that, that's why it says here it's a ben or a bat. That's why, because it's a granddaughter. It doesn't matter whether it's from a boy or a girl. Because if it's a boy, so the mother of the father of the father-in-law. If it's a girl, it's the mother of the mother-in-law. Right? So therefore, what happens? Leah is poteret Midian from Shimon because it's Sarata. And Miriam is poteret Chana from Shimon because it's Sarat Sarata. Okay? Next case of the Mishnah. Achoto Meimo. This is case number 10 in the Mishnah. Achoto Meimo. Moshe gets married to Shifra and Pu'ah. Now we change completely. I don't know why. Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu comes, right? Nachalat tonight, remember, yeah? Moshe gets married to Shifra and Puah. Technically, it's his mother and sister, but okay, let's not get into that, yeah? So basically, Moshe gets married to Shifra and Puah. Now, Puah already had a daughter, Hannah, from a previous marriage. Okay, so again, remember, 2 wives, and Puah had Hannah, 1 child.
Nomi Moshe.
Okay? Nomi Moshe, previous marriage. Next, Reuven nolad leshifra, okay, v'Shimon nolad lepu'ah, okay, Chana v'Shimon em achim min ha'em, which means like this. What happened, right? You had that Moshe, right, and Shifra, they have Reuven nolad leshifra.
Reuven is the son?
Yes, Reuven is the son,
Shimon is the son?
and Shimon is the son. So they have,
the sons of Moshe.
both of them are the sons of Moshe. But right, Chana v'Shimon, right, are achim min ha'em, not min ha'av, because this was a previous marriage, Chana. So therefore, they're achim min ha'em v'lo min ha'av. Now what happens? Half brothers, right? Now what happens? Reuven gets married to Chana and Esther. Now remember, Shimon and Chana were half brothers. Reuven to Chana is a klum. No. One more time. Chana ze abat shel Puah. Look at the chart. Chana is the bat of Puah from another marriage. Shimon, right, is from Moshe and Puah. Reuven is from Moshe and Shifra. So Reuven and Shimon are brothers mitzad Abba. Shimon v'Chana are brothers and sisters mitzad Ima. But Chana to Reuven, look at the chart. Chana to Reuven, what connection are there?
Can Moshe marry to Chana?
How is she?
Now the next case. Okay, the next case was, right, we're still in the middle of the case. The next case, again, one more time. So we had over here, we had Shifra and Puah. Moshe Rabbeinu had Reuven and Shimon. He had Reuven from Shifra. He had Shimon from Puah. Right, this wife of Puah already had Chana. So Shimon and Chana are achim na'em. Shimon and Reuven are achim na'av. Okay, but Reuven is allowed to get married to Chana because there's no problem there. So what happens is Reuven gets married with Chana, which is basically his stepmother's, right? His stepmother's daughter, plus another woman, Lok Shura, right? Esther. Okay. Now what happens is that, right? Now what happens is that Reuven dies. Okay, Reuven dies, and Chana and Esther, right? Chana and Esther noflot liibum leShimon. One more time. Reuven is here. Reuven dies. Now Reuven dies. He was married to Esther and Chana. Now, if Chana falls in front of Yibum to Shimon, what is that?
Hannah is Tzarat, and Esther is Tzarat.
Oh, okay, no, one. You went too fast. Right? One more time. It's achoto miimo, not Sarata. Forget about Sarata. Hannah cannot get married to Shimon because it's the brother from the mother.
Right.
So that's achoto minaim.
Ah.
So Esther is Sarata. Don't get to Tzarat. You jumped. Don't jump.
Okay.
Right? So one more
Just
time.
because he
Just
Achoto.
Achoto minaim. Achoto minaim. So therefore, Hannah is achoto minaim. Since achoto minaim, remember, because Hannah, so therefore she's ptura. Once she's ptura, she's going to be poteret Esther. Okay, because she's married to Esther. Right? It's Sarat Sarata. Yes. Sarat Sarata is what you just mentioned now. Sarat Sarata, you have to do the same thing. What are we doing? Again, one more time. You have Moshe gets married to Pua. Now Moshe already had two children, Reuven and Shimon, from a previous marriage, right? Pua also had a child, right, which was called Hannah, right? Shimon has a child through, Shimon is born through both of them, Moshe and Pua. So one more time, you had Reuven and Levi, previous marriage, right? Shimon between them, and Hannah was only from her. What happens now is that Levi, right? Levi, which was one of the boys of Moshe, gets married to Miriam, which is another woman completely, and Reuven gets married to Hannah and to Esther. This Reuven, so this Reuven, he gets married to again Hannah, which again they are completely step siblings. Right. Step siblings are allowed to get married to each other. That was the case that I told you before. And Esther. Okay, now what happens is Reuven dies. So now when Reuven dies, what happens? Right? Reuven met Levi. Does Yibum to Esther? Remember, Levi is over here. He can do Yibum to both, right? He could do Yibum to both, but instead he chose Esther. So now he has Miriam and he has Esther. So now what happens? What happens now when Levi also dies? So now they are both going to fall in front of Shimon. Now Shimon, right? What happens now is that Levi met Esther v'Miriam noflot lifnei Shimon Yibum. Hannah is prohibited to Shimon because she's achoto mi'imo. Upoteret et Esther tzarata, Miriam tzarat tzarata. This is the case. Okay? One more time. Hannah is a sister to Shimon, Minaem. So therefore she's poteret et Esther because she's tzarata. She was married to Reuven at the same time. So she's tzarata. And she's going to be poteret Miriam because she's tzarat tzarata.
She was married, so she's poteret Esther.
Exactly. She's poteret Esther. Why? Because she's sarata. And then she's going to be poteret tota because she's sarat sarata. Because in this picture already, they both were together here.
So she's poteret her.
Exactly.
She's poteret her
because it's sarat sarata. Next case. Yes. Yeah. Next case. No. Achot imo. Achoto miimo. Achot imo is case number 10 by us. Sorry. Achot imo. Sorry, is 11. Okay, is 11. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. Okay, achoto imo. What's the case? Yeah. Shh. Please, a few more minutes and we're almost done. Achoto imo. Yeah. Asher. One more time. Now we're again. I don't know why we're changing names. Don't ask. Asher is this guy in the middle. Yeah. Asher gets married to Ada v'Tzila. Okay. Now, Tzila has a sister which is called Rachel. One more time. Asher gets married to Ada v'Tzila. Right? This is Ada. This is Tzila. Asher gets married to both of them. Tzila has a sister which her name is Rachel. Sister now. So there's a sister. Okay. Now, what happens is Gad is born to Ada, and Moshe is born to Tzila. So therefore, these are achim mina av. Why are achim mina av? Because it's the same father. There was only one man here. One man, Asher, right? So there was only, right, one. There was only one, right? He comes and he says like this. He says, Asher gets married to both of them. Yeah, he comes and he says, right, as follows. Asher gets married to both women, and he has two children. One from Ada, one from Tzila. So here you have Gad and Moshe. These are the two children. Okay? These are Achim min ha'av. Now remember that you still have here the sister, Rachel. Okay? Next case. Right? Gad gets married to Leah and to Rachel. So this boy over here, right? He's getting married to Leah, an external woman, plus he's getting married to Rachel. He's not getting married to. It's his stepmother's sister. Pay attention. Here, this is the, again, his mother is Ada. One more time. His mother is Ada. His stepmother is Sila. Sila's sister is Rachel. So God gets married to the stepmother's sister. Again, there's no blood. There's no problem. Yes, that's what it says over here. You can look at the picture. Fine. So next, we have the next case. Yeah, he comes and he says like this. He says, God dies. This guy, he dies. So now what happens? Rachel, Hannah and Rachel, they fall in front of Yibum to Moshe. Right? Here, God dies. God dies. Now you have Leah and Rachel, both of them, these two women, they fall in front of Moshe. Moshe is the brother. Right? So now 1 second, can Moshe get married to Rachel? No. Why? Because it's his mother's sister. It's his aunt. This is his aunt. So therefore, it's still going to be poselet. How do we add now tzarat tzarata? Okay, which is again the next case. So tzarat tzarata, right, is over here. The same case. You had Asher having two children, God and Noach now. I don't know why it changed again. And you have Tzila and Rachel. The next case you say God and Noach, and they had a child between them, Moshe. Okay. The next case, right? You have that this brother God got married to Leah and to Rachel, and Noach got married to. I can't see that.
What did they change?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, here it is. To, I can't even see it. Hannah. Okay, to Hannah. Okay. So now one more time. Noach gets married to Hannah. God gets married to Leah and to Rachel. Okay, the next case, right? What happens? God dies. So Noach does Yibum to Leah. Okay. The next case, right? Noach dies. If Noach dies, who comes in front of Moshe? You have Hannah, right? And you had Leah, and then you also had beforehand already Rachel. Now what happens is like this. Moshe now has to do Yibum. Moshe cannot do Yibum to Rachel because it's his aunt. His aunt, Rachel, is going to be poteret Leah because it's Sarata. Leah and Rachel were both married to God. And now Leah is going to be poteret Hannah because it's Sarat.
Hold on, I asked you earlier, can a man marry his aunt? You said it's...
So now it says like this, okay? Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Okay, Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Reuven, right, gets married to Hannah and Ada. Okay? And Shimon gets married to Tzila, and Ada and Tzila are sisters. So you have two brothers getting married to two sisters. One more time. Reuven getting married to Hannah and Ada, and Shimon getting married to Tzila. So these two, Ada and Tzila, are sisters. Okay? So you have two brothers getting married to two sisters, but there's also Hannah here. Okay? Then what happens? What happens is that when Reuven dies, Hannah and Ada falls in front of Yibum to Shimon. Shimon cannot do Yibum to Ada because it's Achot Ishto. Once it's Achot Ishto, he's poteret tzarata mina Yibum, right? Because again, basically, this is simple, correct?
They're not allowed to live in the same city, right?
The only thing is Hannah is going to be in trouble.
Isn't there an halacha that if two brothers marry two sisters, they're not allowed to live in the same city?
Guys, says the Gemara, okay? Says the Gemara like this now. Now we're going to be to Tzarat Tzarata. Tzarat Tzarata now is this case. What is Tzarat Tzarata exactly? So it says over here like this. You have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven, Shimon, Levi are three brothers. Shimon gets married to Salah. Reuven gets married to Ada and Hannah, which is basically, again, two brothers getting married to two sisters. And Levi getting married to Esther. Okay? Reuven dies. So now Levi does Yibum, because remember, if it will be Shimon doing Yibum, he already has a problem. So Levi does the Yibum. He does the Yibum to Hannah, not to Ada. Okay?
Shimon cannot do Yibum.
Yeah, Shimon cannot do Yibum. So Levi does Yibum to Hannah. Right? So now what happens is that when now Levi dies, so now you have like this. You have her, Ada, she's going to be poteret, she's going to be poteret, right? Hannah, because she's Sarata, right? And Hannah is poteret Esther because of Sarat Sarata. Right? Next. Eshet achiv me'imo. Okay? Eshet achiv me'imo.
אשת אחיו מאמו.
יבחם לא יפתח את הפה על
Yeah.
דף קצר.
It says like this. Yaakov, זה מה שאמרתי לך. Right? Yaakov gets married to Rachel and Leah. One more time. Here you have Yaakov in the middle. Again, we're changing the names so you could open up your eyes. Right? Yaakov gets married to Rachel and to Leah. Now, Leah already had a boy, Shimon, a boy, Shimon, from a previous marriage. Okay? Now, Yosef is born to Rachel, and Reuven is born to Leah. Okay? Again, remember, here's, let me just make it bigger.
half brother.
Ils ont
אתה לא יכול לשלוח לנו את זה בגרופ?
One minute.
ils ont masque sur le
Right? Yaakov gets married to Rachel and to Leah. Okay? Yaakov. Savlanut. Yeah, one more time. Yaakov gets married to Rachel. Yaakov gets married to Leah. Leah had a previous child, Shimon. Okay? So now Yaakov has with Rachel, Yosef. Yaakov has with Leah, Reuven. Okay?
Reuven is brothers, half brothers with.
So now they're all half. What does that mean? These two are brothers, right? These two are brothers from the father,
Right.
Yosef and Reuven.
Right.
And Shimon and Reuven. No, Shimon has nothing to do with Yosef, but his half brothers from the mother, only to Reuven.
Right.
Only to Reuven. Next case. Okay? Yosef, right, which is this boy over here. Yosef gets married to Chana. Okay, another woman. Okay, Shimon gets married to Tamar, another woman. Okay, no, not connected yet. Wait 1 minute. Now what happens is Shimon dies or mitkaresh. It doesn't matter here whether he dies or he's mitkaresh. And now what happens is Yosef is gonna take Tamar. Just in this case, but you're gonna listen why? Because Yosef gets married now to Tamar, which is the almana or the grusha of Shimon. I'm going to say like this. Yosef, what is he to Shimon?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No blood.
So for Yosef,
Yes.
if Shimon, forget about now die, because you have the picture there die. It could also be grusha. So here it's a little bit of a happier case, right? That he just got divorced. It didn't work out, right? Yeah. So what happened? So now all of a sudden Shimon, right? Shimon gets divorced. So now Yosef gets married to Tamar. Doesn't matter whether it was because of Yibum or because of divorce and basically because of a thing. Okay. So now what happens is, actually it's not Yibum because Yosef cannot do Yibum because Yosef is not connected to Shimon. So what happens is Yosef gets married to Tamar, whether it's the almana or the grusha of Shimon. Okay.
Yosef dies.
All of a sudden now, Yosef dies. Now Tamar and Chana go to Yibum in front of Reuven. Reuven cannot do it because it's Eshet Achiv Me'imo, and she's going to be poteret, right, at Chana. What does that mean? What happened now? Yosef just passed away now, correct? Now, what happens with Tamar and Chana? Tamar is going to be psula from Shimon. Why is it going to be psula from Shimon?
She was
From Shimon, to Reuven, not to Shimon.
She was married.
Reuven cannot do Yibum to Tamar because it's Eshet Achiv Me'imo. It's his sister-in-law from the mother.
Again, we repeat it while we're looking at it.
One more time. Can Reuven get married to the wife of Tamar, to Tamar, which is the wife of Shimon?
Yeah.
For sure not.
No,
Unless it's Yibum. Unless it's Yibum. There was no Yibum.
He just died.
One more time. First, right?
Shimon just died.
No, one more time. Let me go to the case previous here.
But they're not connected. So there's
One more time. Shimon died or got divorced.
The brothers by the mother.
Are you listening? Shimon dies or got divorced. Yosef now takes Tamar. If Yosef took Tamar, is that Yibum?
No.
No.
Because
Why?
he's not a brother.
Yosef is not a brother. There's no connection.
Okay.
So it's not a Yibum. All right. It's either
That's
that he
why
got married, whether it was because Shimon divorced her or Shimon died and there was Chalitza or whatever, but he got married to Tamar. So there was no, now, can Reuven ever get married to Tamar? No. Reuven is over here.
Yeah.
Can Reuven ever get married to Tamar? Unless it's Yibum, no. Why? Because it's his brother's wife. his brother's wife.
Yeah.
Even though it's a brother from the wife, from the mother, sorry. But what? It's a half brother, not step. Half brother. Okay.
בדיוק.
It's a half brother. One more time.
מה כתוב למעלה
ראובן,
זה אפשר לנו את הכל עליו. מה כתוב מעל
Reuven is a Nisuim from Leah. Reuven and Shimon came from a previous marriage. They are blood brothers from the mother. The mother. So they're half brothers. Yes. And remember, whenever there's one parent Mishutaf, it's a half sibling. A step sibling means that there's nothing Mishutaf.
By the way, in this case, Yosef married Tamar. This is not Ibum. But Reuven could have done Ibum with Tamar.
Exactly. If he would have done Ibum to Tamar in Achanami. But let's say either that it was done Chalitza, right? Or, right, what would have happened
Doesn't he have precedence over Yosef?
if there would have been done Ibum, yes. If there would have been done Ibum. But there was no Ibum done. There was no Ibum done. Whether it was Chalitza or just remember that it was Girusha. It was Girushin. It was divorce. Whichever case you want.
So Yosef can marry Tamar without Reuven doing Chalitza.
No. Reuven had to do Chalitza.
Okay,
Reuven
so
comes
yes,
and does Chalitza.
precedence.
Either Chalitza or let's say Girushin or the old Pam. Girushin. What's Girushin? Divorce. The case was divorce. So what happened?
Okay, so now Yosef married
gets married to Tamar.
and
So
Tamar.
now what happens is that when now Yosef dies, Tamar cannot go in front of Reuven. Why? Because it's the half brother's wife. The half brother's wife.
So he cannot.
So therefore, Tamar cannot get married to Reuven. One more time. One more time.
The brothers through the father.
כן, היא פוסלת חנה.
No, they're brothers through the mother.
No, Reuven and Yosef.
One more time.
Can
Reuven
Reuven
and Yosef.
do Ibum
Stop.
for Yosef?
Stop. Reuven to Yosef are brothers from the father. Reuven and Shimon are brothers through the mother.
Yes.
Shimon's wife. Can he get married to Reuven? Divorce. Forget about debt. There's no debts. Can he get married to Reuven? No. Because you cannot get married to your brother's wife.
Unless he died. To do Ibum.
Unless Yibum. But here there was no Yibum done through Reuven. Because Reuven did not do the Yibum. Right? It was either divorce, and then therefore there's no Yibum. Right? Forget about Yibum. Only divorce.
Okay.
That's it.
No, he
Only
cannot.
divorce.
No, he cannot.
He cannot.
But for
Very
Ibum,
good.
that's the whole point.
Okay. So now what happens is that once now, right? Can Reuven do Yibum to Tamar?
So I get it. No, because she was Shimon's ex-wife and then she married Yosef.
Exactly.
Not because they're brothers from the mother. That's not the
No,
answer.
but it has to be because the brothers from the mother. Because only Heter is from what? It's from
Ibum if he dies.
Yibum. If it's not B'tor Yibum, that's it. It's already done.
But can he not do Ibum for Yosef now?
No, because he cannot get married. Once the Yibum has not been done originally, he cannot do the Yibum right now because that means he's going to get married to his brother's wife, and he can't do that.
So let's say there's no divorce. It's only Shimon died and then Yosef died. So he can. Reuven cannot.
So now says the Gemara, okay, now says what we just mentioned. This was the case of that there was never going to be Yibum. Since there was never going to be Yibum, Reuven cannot get married to Tamar because it's the wife of Shimon, which is from the wife. Okay, and therefore, if we're talking about Girushin, also that would have been made it much easier. The next case is going to be Tzarat Tzarata. What is Tzarat Tzarata? Right? Let's go again. We're going to the Tzarat Tzarata. So we go over here to the chart. And again, we have it. We have Yaakov, right? He's got Levi and Yosef. This is Levi and Yosef from a previous marriage. Okay? Leah has Shimon from a previous marriage. That's going to be Aleph. Bet. Yaakov gets married to Leah and they have a common child, Reuven. So now Reuven has children from the father and he has children from the mother. Okay? Next, Gimel. Levi, Yosef, and Shimon. Right? Hitchatnu im Miriam, Chana, v'Tamar, v'Tamar. So here you have, let me just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Here it is. Okay? So you have, here's Levi. Levi gets married to Miriam. Okay? You have Yosef. Yosef gets married to Chana. And then here you have Shimon. Shimon gets married to Tamar. From the wife. From previous marriage. Okay? Shimon dies. Okay? Shimon met. The Yosef miyabemet Tamar. So now what happens? Shimon dies. When Shimon dies, what happens is that Yosef
or Levi were eligible to take it. Right? Yosef or Levi were eligible to take her.
No, he marries her, but it's not Yibum. So he's not his brother.
He could, yes, you're right, he could. Like before.
Next.
Which one? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
לא, כי אני קשה לי לראות ככה, אני מעדיף דרך הפלאפון. הוא אומר לי את העיניים, אני אומר...
So now it says, this is now the 1 minute. So now one more time. So now what happens is that Yosef comes and he gets married to Tamar, okay? And then the case number 5, okay? Yosef dies and Levi does Ibum to Hannah,
So now
right?
the
The
Ibum
wife.
process starts.
Yes. So okay, so because now Levi does Ibum to Hannah, which is over here, not to Tamar, to Hannah, this woman right here, this one. Okay, very good. Now we go to the case up here. So now what happens is that you have now Levi dies. So when Levi dies, everybody goes in front of Reuven to Ibum. Tamar, right? Asuka leReuven mishum achoto mimo poteret Hannah tzarata v'chen minyan tzarata. So it goes like this. Reuven, right? Everybody, now Levi dies. Since Levi dies, Hannah, right? What happened over here? You had the Reuven, right, is going to be patur because of
So he was
Tamar.
eligible to take. What did I do? He was eligible to take these two.
He was eligible to take these two, exactly.
Okay.
But since Tamar, right, since Tamar is going to be a problem, Tamar is over here. Tamar is a problem for Reuven. So therefore she's psula because this is sarata and this is sarata. Sarata. Very good. Next. Okay. Eshet achiv shelo ya be'olamo. This is case number 14. Remember, we only have to get to 15. Okay.
And then the Gemara.
And then the Gemara. Okay. So Reuven, he comes and he says like this: Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Okay. After Reuven and Shimon are brothers, you have Reuven mitchaten im Esther v'Shimon mitchaten im Chana. So Reuven im Esther, Shimon im Chana. What happens? Reuven dies. Once Reuven dies, right? So what happens is Levi is nolad. The brother was born after the death of the first brother. So Levi is nolad after, right? That's why he looks like a little child. After Reuven, right? After Reuven died.
But she
Okay.
was, obviously she was pregnant doing the...
No, the mother, not the wife. One more time. Yeah, one more time.
Okay.
Reuven and Shimon are achim.
Brothers.
Reuven gets married to Esther.
Okay.
Shimon gets married to Hannah.
Okay.
Okay. Reuven dies.
Right.
Okay.
All of a sudden, after Reuven dies, Levi is born. Levi is a brother of Reuven and Shimon. He's not a son. It comes from the parents, from the mother. So all of a sudden, Reuven never met his brother because Reuven died. And after Reuven dies, Levi comes into the world. Levi nolad. So now Shimon, right? Shimon miyabemet Esther, eshet Reuven. So Shimon does ibum to Esther, which is the wife of Reuven. Okay. And then he dies. And Shimon dies. Right now, what happens when Shimon dies? Right, when Shimon dies, now you have Esther and Hannah that come to, they fall in front of Levi. Okay, now the problem is Levi could do Yibum to Esther, right? He cannot do Yibum to Esther because it's Eshet Achiv Shelo Ya Be'olamo, and therefore she's going to be poter Hannah Tzarata, which means like this. Esther, right? Esther, right? Esther, when Esther was married to Reuven, Levi was not born. So therefore, when Reuven died, Esther was only the wife of Shimon. So now when Levi comes into the world, Esther can never fall to Levi because you cannot do Yibum to a woman if the brother was never alive at the same time. He wasn't in the world. So because of that, Esther is poteret, is patura, right, from Levi because it's achiv shelo ya be'olamo, and it's poteret tzarata, which is going to be Hannah. Okay, now באותו זמן, חייבים להיות ביחד. The next one is tzara tzarata. So the tzara tzarata is going to be the same thing. What's tzara tzarata? Says the Gemara, okay, Reuven, Shimon, v'Yehuda achim. Okay, Reuven gets married to Esther, right? Shimon gets married to Hannah, Yehuda gets married to Sarah. Reuven dies. Okay, Reuven dies, and you still have everyone here. Then Levi is born. Okay, now they still have, each one of them is still there. Okay, then Levi is born. Then what happens is Shimon does Yibum to Esther, to the wife of Reuven. Then what happens is Shimon dies. Now Yehuda does Yibum to Chana, to this one, not to the original Esther, to Chana. So now what happens is yes, because Esther is poteret, because she's the wife of a brother that was not Beolamo. So she is Ptura, she's poteret Sarata Chana, and Chana is going to be poteret Sarata Sarah. Sarat Sarata, which is Chana. Okay, next case.
What next case? That's it.
Kalato. This is the last one. This is the last one, right? This is the last one. Right? One more time. Shimon v'Reuven achim. Okay, Shimon and Reuven are brothers, and Yosef is ben Reuven. Okay, now Yosef, Shimon, Yosef mitchaten im Esther, and Shimon mitchaten im Chana. So Shimon gets married to Chana, and Yosef gets married to Esther. Okay? So now what happens is that Yosef dies or he divorces. Okay, again, here we're putting mitkaresh also. And Shimon gets married to Esther. So Shimon could get married to Esther. There's no problem because he's getting married to his nephew's wife. Okay? So that's fine. So now what happens? All of a sudden now, when Shimon also now dies, that's what we're going to say here, Shimon dies, Esther and Chana fall in front of Reuven. Now Reuven cannot do Yibum to Esther because it's his daughter-in-law, and therefore she's going to be poteret Sarata. One more time. Esther is the daughter-in-law, because Esther was married to Yosef, which is the daughter-in-law. So therefore, if right now he dies, so she's Ptura because it's daughter-in-law, and then she's going to be poteret Chana. Now Sarat Sarata. What's Sarat Sarata? Right? Which that's going to be the last case here. Okay, in this picture thing. So it says over here, Sarat Sarata. What's Sarat Sarata? Says the Gemara. Okay, Reuven, Shimon, Levi achim. Reuven, Shimon, and Levi are brothers, right? Reuven has Yosef. Okay, Levi gets married to Miriam. Shimon gets married to Chana. And Yosef gets married to Esther. Yosef dies, okay? And then Shimon, right, does Yibum to Esther.
No, not Yibum.
Let's say Yibum or he gets married to Esther, whichever one.
It's impossible.
He could do Yibum to the wife of a nephew. Yeah, you could do Yibum to a nephew, right? You could do Yibum to a nephew. Because just like an uncle could get married to a niece, so he could get married to the nephew's. No, but also the same thing. He could do Yibum. That's what it says here. Yibum. Shimon dies, and now that Shimon dies, Levi does Yibum to Chana. So here's Chana, right? Right? Shimon dies. Levi does Yibum to Chana. And now we have this one, which is okay. So now Levi dies. Reuven and Esther Kalato. Reuven is asur to get married to his Kala, to his daughter-in-law. She's poteret Chana Tzarata, and Miriam Tzarat Tzarata. Because again, remember one more time, Yosef was married to Esther. Esther cannot get married now to Reuven, right? But it's his daughter-in-law. So she's going to be Ptura because she's the daughter-in-law. She's poteret Chana because it's her Tzara. Chana is the Tzara of Miriam, so that's Tzarat Tzarata Miriam. Okay? Until here we're clear?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. There's a Mishnah. We're still in the Mishnah on Bet Amud Bet. Okay, the Mishnah says, "V'kulan," all these 15 women, imetu, o shemiyanu, o nitgarshu, o shenimtzu ailonit. In all these cases of the 15 women, if they died, right? If they died within the life of the husband, or miyanu, they did miyun. Miyun is if that a person gets married, which means that like this, a father can marry off his daughter against her will. But let's say the father dies. So then what happens is the brother or the mother can marry off the sister, right? Before Bat Mitzvah, obviously, right? They could marry her off, right? And then now she could do miyun. Miyun means that she renounces the marriage, and then it's considered they were never married. Okay, they annulled the marriage. Okay? Or nitgarshu, or they had a get. Or shenimtzu ailonit, or she was an ailonit. An ailonit is a woman that she cannot give birth, which means that she gets to the age of 20 and she does not have the simanim of women, which means that she cannot give birth. So it comes out that the kiddushin were a mistake from the beginning. So if it was never considered a marriage. So therefore, says the Mishnah, sarotehen mutarot, which means in any of these cases, if something happened, their sarotehen are mutarot litiabem. Why? In any of these cases, right? We wanted to exempt because now it was because of whether it's kalato whether it's a chamim, whether it's a choto, doesn't matter what it is. Bito, all of a sudden now, what happens if one of these women, there was a technical problem? They got divorced, right? Before the guy died. Or there was miyun. Or there was going to be that she was an ailonit, right? Or they themselves died, meaning this woman died. So in any of those cases that we just brought you with the pictures, if one of those women that she was a poteret, she died first, or if she got divorced, or if there was a miyun, or if she was an ailonit, everybody else is chayav. Because we only said there was a ptur. She was voiding the case. Exactly. She was the ptur. She was the exemption. But if one of these cases, that's it. She's exempt.
It's no longer a case. She's voiding it.
Exactly. Now, there's a technical problem. In the case of the mother-in-law, or the mother of the mother-in-law, or the mother of the father-in-law, in all those cases, they have kids. So it doesn't exist that you could say that they're an ailonit, because ailonit means that they cannot have kids, or miyun, because if they had a child, it's after 12 years old, and therefore there's no miyun over there. So those cases you have to take out. They have to take out those cases that we're not talking about, the ailonit case. Now we're going to explain. What is the case that the 15 are going to exempt the tzarot from chalitza nibum? If the daughter or one of the other arayot are married to the brother, he has another wife, and the guy dies without children, so therefore the daughter of the yavam and the tzarata are falling in front of the yibum. So just like bito ptura, so to tzarata ptura, that was just explaining the first case of bito. Mamash, explaining the first case of bito. Halchat tzarat bito veniset lachiv sheni. What happens now if the tzarat bito, meaning the other wife of his daughter, right? Meaning not of his daughter, meaning that there were two wives, the daughter, right, and another wife. That second wife went, right, and that second wife went and got married le'achiv hasheni, to the second brother. Velo isha acheret, and he had another wife. Umet, and he died. So kashem shetzarat bito ptura, just like tzarat bito is ptura, so to tzarat tzarata ptura, afilu mea, even if it's going to be 100 wives. So this was because now the Mishnah is explaining. It's explaining what we just said at the beginning. What is tzarat tzarato and so on and so forth. Ketzad. What is the halacha then that we mentioned about the 15 women, right? Imetu tzarotehem mutarot. Right? If they died, or again, mianun itkashu or ailonit, tzarotehem mutarot. So they're going to be, their tzarot are going to be pturot. It says hayta bito. One of it's his own daughter, or a cham isha kol arayot ailu, or one of the arayot. They're married to the sister, the brother. Because remember, the brother is allowed to marry to the niece. So you had that the brother got married to the niece, which is his daughter. Now the brother dies, or any other family member, and this happens. Velo isha acheret, he has another wife. Umeta bito, and the daughter dies. Onit karsha. Then the brother dies. Tzarata muteret. She's permitted to do yibum. Why? Because during the time of the yibum, there's no tzarat erva. Meaning that, remember, when do we pay attention at the time of the yibum? At the time of the yibum, that's when we analyze the case. So we're analyzing the case. What is happening now? Right now, the daughter died. So there's nothing which is an exemption anymore from Reuven getting married to the other one. Right? Why? Because the second that they died, so it's right now at the time. That's what we're looking at. Right? Right? The same halacha applies that any woman that she could does mi'un, right? Any of the arayot that she could do miyun. Remember, she's a yitoma ktana that she could do, right? That she's an orphan, a small woman that she could do miyun. Velo miyanan, she does not do miyun. Sarata choletzet velo mitebemet. So in this case, miyun is only the rabbanan. Why? Real marriage, doraita, is only the father. The father could get his daughter married, doraita. The case of the brother or the mother getting married, this girl, is only a din rabbanan. That's why there exists miyun. Think about it. What is miyun? You renounce a marriage. Well, how do you do that? Renounce a marriage. They were just married. They were living together. They renounce. That's what you're doing. They're mamash. They're denouncing the marriage. They're annulling the marriage from the beginning. But it's only din rabbanan. Since it's only a din rabbanan, they still have to do chalitza. They do not do yibum. Now we're at the Gemara. So the Gemara is on the bottom of Bet and Ubet. Says the Gemara, Michti, let us see, Kulu me'achot isha yalfinan. We learn all these 15 cases from achot isha, from your sister-in-law, right? Which is basically the sister of your wife. All of them, right? All these cases, all these concepts of the tzarat, and the tzarot and everything is learned from tzarat ishta. So if everything is learned from achot isha, so litzni achot isha b'reisha. Why at the beginning learn the first case? Chamesh nashim, instead of saying bito, he should say first right away achot isha. V'chitim, and if you're going to tell me tana chumare nakit, maybe we're going like the chumrot, like the stringencies. And we're going like Shitat Rabbi Shimon. That according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, Srefa is more chamur than Sekila. If you guys remember, what do we say on Kippur? Sekila, Srefa, Hereg, V'chenek. That is the order that we paskin. We paskin, the order of stringencies is Sekila, Srefa, Hereg, V'chenek. But if you learn Mishnayot, in Sanhedrin, there's a machloket between Rabbi Shimon and Chachamim. What's worse, Serifa or Sekila? Sekila or Serifa? It's a machloket. We paskin Sekila, but it's a machloket. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's Serifa. There's also a machloket in Hereg V'chenek. If Hereg is more important than Chenek, or Hereg is more stricter than Chenek. But whichever one it is. So now you're going to say this. If you're going to tell me now that our Mishnah is going according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, that he says that Serifa is more chamur than Sekila, if so, litni chamoto bereisha. It should teach chamoto because the ikar Serifa is learned by chamoto. Where do we know the concept of Serifa? Serifa is by the chamot. The chamot, if a person lives with the chamot and then the wife, he gets serifa. What does that mean? If you look in the bottom, in the footnote, it says there's many different isurim of arayot. Some of them are sekila, daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law is sekila. Some of them, which is going to be, for example, serifa. What's going to be serifa? His daughter, granddaughter, the granddaughter from the boy instead of the girl, the daughter of the wife. Okay, bat bena, bat bitar, the granddaughter of the wife, doesn't matter from where, his mother-in-law, and the mother of the mother-in-law, mother-in-law of the father, the mother of the father-in-law. All of those cases are in serefa. So you got sekila. The only case of sekila is a daughter-in-law. The other cases, everything that we just mentioned now, are serefa. Then you've got other cases which are in the Mishnah, which are karet. Karet is not a mitat betin. It's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Karet. What is karet? Achoto mi'imo, right? His aunt. Achot imo, right? He says, sorry, achoto imo, the sister from the mother, right? That means a mother from the sister, right? From the meaning that they share the same mother. Okay, the aunt, achot ishto, right? His sister-in-law, which is basically his wife's sister. Eshet achiv mimo, right? The brother's wife, but it's from the mother, meaning it's a half brother from the mother. Okay, eshet achiv shulei, or even a brother that was not in the world. All those things are karet. So there's 3 different levels of arayot. If I would give you now a chart, right, which I think actually, in this chart, you have it over here, krove atzmo. You've got gimel dorot lemata didei. You've got 3 different. You got the daughter, the granddaughter, from whether it's from the daughter or for the boy. It doesn't matter what it is. All these 3 are serefa.
If you married her,
if you have relations with them, right? That's called serefa. Then you have krove ishto, of his own wife. And again, gimel dorot lemata didei. You got the daughter of your wife and the granddaughter of your wife. Doesn't matter whether it's from a boy or girl. Again, serefa. Then you have the family members of the wife. Gimel dorot lemala didei, above, because before it was below. It was the daughter and the granddaughters. Now it's going the mother-in-law and the mother of the mother-in-law, or the mother of the father-in-law. Here you have the mother-in-law, right? Chamoto ve'em chamoto srefa. Em chamim, the mother of the father-in-law, is karet. Then you have krove atzmo. What's krove atzmo? Right? Isure achva, brotherhood. What is brotherhood? You have achoto mi'imo, achot imo, ve'achot ishto. So you have achoto mi'imo means your half sister, because it's basically from this, you share the same mother. That's karet. Achot imo, the aunt, again that's karet. And achot ishto, the wife's sister, that's called the sister-in-law, karet. Then you have isure achva, brotherhood. Eshet achiv me'amo, your brother's wife, but it's your brother from the mother, karet. Or the wife of your brother that he was not in the world at the time. That's karet. Kalato is the only one that's sekila. So basically, what happens is you have all the different types of punishments. So says the Gemara. 1 second. If you're going to tell me now that we were already taking the most stringent, so start with kaloto, right, which is sekila. You're going to tell me that you hold like Rabbi Shimon that he says serefa is more chamur. So then fine. Chamoto is the main serefa in the Torah. Where do we learn serefa in the Torah? From chamoto. From there we go down. And furthermore. Batar chamoto, after chamoto, which is after the mother-in-law, teach kalato, which is sekila. The batar serefa sekila chamura. Kalato was the last one. Kalato, which is sekila, is the last one in the Mishnah, the number 15. So chamoto, even if you're going to tell me that you wanted to start with serefa at the beginning, right, and you're not going to start with the bito and everything else, or even if bito, they're all serefa. First of all, chamoto should come at the beginning, because everything is learned from chamoto to do with serefa. Number 2, after all those serefa should come sekila, not come the karets. So answers the Gemara, since the daughter is coming from a drasha, it's more chaviv. What does that mean? Sometimes we learn something from a drasha. it's not explicitly written in the Torah. And a dirasha is so chaviv, it's so precious because we're learning it from a dirasha. We prefer to learn that one first. So the daughter, which is a dirasha, we prefer to learn that one first.